Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 144, written by Beneficial Noise 420. Driving with their family switched into a puzzling anomaly. The whole family was in the car. All seats were filled. We got to the bagel shop and everyone got out. Keep in mind, it's just me, my parents, and my brother. We wait right next to the car for my brother for what seems like forever. I finally walk over to the car to tell him to get out, but no one was there. I tell my parents and we're like, WTF? We look around the car and around the shop for like 10 minutes, but nothing. The car alarm suddenly goes off and we see my brother stuck inside it with the doors locked. A true glitch in the Matrix. Edit. Some more needed details. My brother is 24, and therefore well past the age of hiding from family for giggles. The car isn't big enough to simply hide in either. It's a 4-seater and he was in the front passenger seat. We waited for him to get out of the car for a few moments, then I went over to tell him to hurry up. He wasn't in there. I called over my parents and everyone peered in, astonished that he had practically vanished. My dad locks the doors and we start looking around outside, because maybe he just slipped out and we didn't notice. Then we hear a super loud car alarm and notice it's ours. As we get closer, we see my brother stuck in the car, obviously looking for a way to turn off the alarm. My dad unlocks the car, asks where he was, said he was in there the whole time and no one spoke about it any further. Me being part of this community, I was just dying to share. Case notes, file number 144. So that no one spoke about it further is wild. If it was me, either as a brother or the family who lost track of him in such an impossible manner, I'd be bringing up the event at every family dinner. Likely this was another out-of-phase event where people, and it seems inanimate objects too, go out of sync, at least with the electromagnetic field. No one can see them or touch them, but they don't notice anything off usually. Still bound by Earth's gravity, but that's all. Then they reappear usually a few minutes later. The most memorable story of this, in my mind at least, is the kid sliding down a covered water park slide, not emerging for a whole 10 minutes. Something is going on there, though. Rare, I don't know. We don't have a scientific theory for what it is yet, but it is happening frequently. Case file number 145, written by Cillian Drome, a classic Disney idol turned disturbingly maniacal. When I was a very young child, we would occasionally go visit my grandmother in Indiana. Due to a lack of available beds, I would usually have to sleep on the couch in the living room. The couch was pushed up against the wall that was in the front of the house. There was either a window or the front door with a window in it, next to the couch, through which light from the streetlight outside shone into the house. Directly in front of the door, on the opposite wall of the room, was an open kitchenette. This was a small house, and the kitchen wasn't much larger than a short hallway. It did have an opening in one wall where food could be passed into the dining room. It had no door, but rather a doorway into the living room at night, when it was dark. The light from the street would shine in and light up the doorway along with a bit of floor and some counter space. Other than a small bit of light, the rest of the living room was very, very dark. One night, I had to sleep on the couch, which was a bit scary for me because I would be in the room alone. Being a young child at the time, I'd have much preferred to have one of my siblings in there with me, but they were all sleeping in the basement. I was not sleepy and was just lying there with my face to the back cushion of the couch. I rolled over to face the other way, towards the kitchen, hoping that somehow that might make me more comfortable. When I did, I saw something in the kitchen that still sends a chill down my spine to this very day. Standing there in the kitchen, bending over as if looking for controls on the dishwasher, was a figure. Please don't laugh at what I say next, because it's not a joke, and the mood of the event was the exact opposite of what it's supposed to be when a child would normally see this figure. It was Mickey Mouse. Not the cartoon version, but the guy in the costume you'd see walking around at the Magic Kingdom, getting his picture taken with kids. I knew it was a guy in a costume. Even though I was a child, I understood that it was not actually the Mickey Mouse you'd see at the theme park. I knew that no one in my family had such a costume. Whoever this was, he, she, or it, was definitely not supposed to be in my grandmother's kitchen in the middle of the night. And why was it looking at the dishwasher? I shut my eyes and pretended to be asleep. I must have kept them shut for half an hour. The problem with shutting your eyes in a situation like this is the fear that upon opening them, the thing will now be right in front of you, staring right in your face. So I let them open just a bit and looked through my eyelashes. You know, the way you can, so it looks like your eyes are still closed. When I did, I saw Mickey again. Now he had turned around facing the opposite wall where the pass-through was. His hands, those big white puffy oversized gloves, they were on the countertop in front of him. His head was hung low, like he was looking at the floor. A few moments later, as if he realized I was looking at him, he turned his head very slowly until he was looking right at me. I closed my eyes tight and went back to pretending to be asleep again. I spent the entire night in sheer terror and didn't open my eyes again until I heard the breakfast bacon sizzling in the pan the next morning. A few years ago, I told the story to my sister and her eyes watered up. I asked why she started crying and she said that when we were little, one night she was sleeping in the basement of the same house and saw someone in what she described as an evil rat costume staring at her while she was trying to sleep. Upon hearing the story, my mother added that there was a paranormal event at that house that drove everyone running outside into the backyard one day, but I don't recall what it was. Maybe I'll ask her again and tell the tale soon. Case notes, file number 145. I'd say there are a few possible explanations here. None of them are positive though. The first is, this is some lunatic who enjoys tormenting young children by dressing up in a Mickey Mouse costume and breaking into that specific home, and possibly others. Not to hurt them, but to scar them psychologically. Another possibility is it was a spirit which just had the same goal. I lean a bit more towards this purely because of the small detail you included, that this figure knew when you opened your eyes again even after 30 minutes, unless you made a noise to signal that you had opened them again. With either option, I'm glad whatever it was didn't intend you or your sister any physical harm. Do you know if your grandma still owns that house? I wonder if this has occurred to anyone else since then. The author responded to my comment, saying, I did not make a sound when I opened my eyes. I didn't move or even change my breathing. My grandmother does not own the house anymore, and long after she moved out, she passed on, so I can't ask her about it anymore. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, and leave any thoughts you might have down below. I always like knowing what you guys think too.